Hi everyone, our group are going to present for assignment of KIB 1015 Dynamics. First of all, let me introduce our group members which consists of 5 persons, including me, Shazwani, Fatihatun Najwa, Anis Safia, Nurin Batrisha and Nur Kamarina. So, the situation that we choose for this assignment is playing football. The aims are to reduce accidents and injuries among the players and to increase enjoyment while playing football.
My name is Nur Anis Safia and I will start with the first situation, a player kicking a ball.
Why is it important to know the velocity and the angle when kicking a ball? Firstly, for accuracy. By controlling these parameters, a player can aim the ball more accurately towards their intended targets such as a teammate or the goalpost. Next, for distance and power. The initial velocity influences the speed at which the ball travels. By adjusting the velocity, players can control the distance the ball covers. Lastly, it is also for tactical awareness. First scenario, finding the magnitude and angle of the initial velocity when given the horizontal distance and time taken for the ball to reach the goalpost. So in the first step, we find the horizontal components of VC by assuming the time taken for the ball to reach the goalpost equals to 3 seconds. After calculating it by using the formula, we got VCX equals to 5.67 meter per second. After that, we find the vertical components of VC by calculating using point C to point D, which is the peak. So we got VCY equals to 14.72 meter per second. After doing step 3 and step 4, the value of the magnitude and angle of VC is 15.77 meter per second and 68.93 degrees respectively. This scenario is important because football players need to know how much force they need to give in order to kick the ball. The second scenario is finding the angle to get the maximum horizontal distance when given the initial velocity. We can know the exact angle that need to be set to ensure the ball can travel the furthest by doing the calculation as shown in step 1 and step 2. By doing the calculation, we know that when a player kicks a ball with an initial velocity of 20 meter per second and at an angle of 45 degrees, the ball can travel as far as 40.77 meter.
Moving on to situation 2, goalkeeper catching a ball. This situation can be related to impulsive force or also known as impact force. The impulsive force is the force exerted on an object due to a collision or rapid change in momentum. It is the force that acts on object in a brief of time which then causing an abrupt change in velocity. When the goalkeeper blocks or catches the fast travelling ball, the ball's momentum is transferred to goalkeeper hands, resulting in an impulsive force exerted on the goalkeeper hand. The impulsive force can be calculated using the formula F net equals to mv over t, where F net is the impulsive force, m is the mass of the ball, v is the velocity of the ball, and t is the duration the ball in contact with the goalkeeper hands. The massive amount of impulsive force might cause injuries to the goalkeeper, commonly wrist joint sprain. A wrist joint sprain is a condition where the ligaments that support the wrist are overstretched. It is typically happen due to strong impulsive force between the ball and the goalkeeper hand. So, to avoid from injuries, it is a must for the goalkeeper to wear safety gloves and apply proper techniques. Both of these can increase the duration the ball in contact with the player hand and then consequently will reduce impulsive force. To prevent serious injury during a football match, the goalkeeper is advised to catch the shot with soft hands, which means the goalkeeper need to catch the ball with receptive fingers, wrist and slightly bent elbow and to give a little as they catch the ball. This technique will help to decrease the impulsive force felt by the goalkeeper. Also, it is important for the goalkeeper to spread their finger widely during the catch, just like the figure. By spreading their fingers wider, they can cover more of the ball's surface area, making the little hands appear larger and the catch more secure.
Now, let's move on to the third situation, which is collision between players. The video shown is the situation that may happen in a football match. Effects of collision between players include shoulder dislocation. As shown in the diagram, shoulder dislocation is an injury in which the upper arm bone pops out of the cup-shaped sockets that's part of the shoulder blade. A total of 335 Newton is needed to dislocate a shoulder. Momentum is produced in collision. The formula of momentum P equals to mv proves that the larger mass will produce larger momentum. Larger momentum means that it is harder to stop. So, how to avoid shoulder injuries while playing footballs? Players should always wear shoulder pads because shoulder pads are able to absorb some of the energy, and the energy will be distributed to a larger area, producing less pressure at the shoulder. The second effect of collision is knee injuries. ACL, anterior cruciate ligament, is at the highest risk to be torn. ACL prevents the knee from collapsing with turning movements. Knee injuries often happens in non-contact situations where the player lands awkwardly on the ground. A force of 2,330 Newton is needed to tear an ACL. To avoid knee injuries, one should strengthen glutes, hamstring and quadriceps muscle because these muscles can help to absorb the force and reduce the force exerted to the ACL. One should also do core workout to help the body move efficiently, hence avoid the player from landing in an awkward position.
Situation 4. Collision between player's head and ball. This situation related to two laws. First, law of conservation of momentum. The total momentum before the collision between player's head and ball is equal to the momentum after the collision between player's head and ball, assuming no external forces are acting. The second one is law of conservation of energy. When a football player is heading the ball, energy is transferred between the player's head and the ball during the collision. Collision between player's head and the ball will cause traumatic brain injury. It happens when there is a sudden jolt or blow to the head that disrupts normal brain function. Hitting the ball that travels in high speed can cause concussion, a mild form of traumatic brain injury or TBI. The force exerted on the player's head during the collision plays a crucial role in determining the potential for injury. If the force exerted on the head exceeds the tolerance of the brain tissue, it can lead to various forms of brain injury. Some factors of concussion are: first, the energy transfer from ball to the head that causes the head to rapidly accelerate and decelerate, resulting in the brain moving within the skull. Second, a stronger impact caused by velocity and mass of the ball that increase the force transmitted to the head. Last, the impact of the ball on the head that generate rotational forces can cause twisting and shearing brain tissues. Ways to avoid or reduce injury. First, wear football headgear. It provides cushioning and shock absorption. Cushioning effect absorbs some of the energy and distribute it more evenly. It will reduce the impact of the direct head-to-head or head-to-ball collisions and reduce the forces transmitted to the head. Second, practicing proper heading techniques. It includes focusing on using the forehead, not the top of the head, to make contact with the ball. It keeps the neck muscles engaged and use the body's momentum rather than relying solely on the force from the neck.
Situation 5. Field surface analysis. Firstly, the reasons why natural grass is better than artificial turf. First, it's softer. Number 2, it's less abrasive because it doesn't have the sand infill that artificial turf has, and it is able to lead to less injuries, which is 58% lower, particularly in ACL injury. Another reason is it provides resistance for the ball, and it enables the ball to bounce well. Then there's also the presence of mud and moisture to enable the players to slide on the grass. And finally, there's sufficient friction that is suitable for football. Friction is important to optimize the player's performance, provide resistance to the ball, and slows down the ball over time so that the players have better grip and control. It's also important to prevent players from falling while providing friction between the shoes and the ground. The law of friction states that friction force is equal to mu k mg. Based on the formula, we can tell that friction force is higher when the mu or the mass is higher. However, friction does has its own drawbacks. Number 1 is overproduction of load or forces in joints, leading to injury for the players. Then it also reduces the running speed of players, which require more energy to overcome the hindering of forward motion. Lastly, players tend to get friction wound when they fall. The solution is to wear proper football shoes. Moving on to the last part, amputee football, which is the modified version of the sport designed for individuals with amputations or limb deficiencies. Can be divided into two parts using the prosthetic legs and crutches. Let's talk about 4-bar linkage. It's a mechanical system in prosthetic leg whereby it provides a natural and efficient gait pattern. The mechanism consists of 4 rigid bars connected by hinges or joints, forming a quadrilateral shape. In this case, we consider a 4-bar prosthetic knee with elevated instant center. It has a long anterior link and a short posterior link. to offer stability at heel contact. The elevated position of the instant center has contributed to the ease by which the hip movement can maintain a stable weight-bearing knee. Thus, the elevated posterior location of the instant center allows the possibility of initiating knee flexion with minimal effort by the amputee.
In conclusion, by understanding many different aspects of dynamics, football can be played with less accidents and injuries as well as increased enjoyment. That's all from us. Thank you.